And speaking of tragedy, it seems that doctors are themselves in some need of saving, because the Soroka Medical Hospital in the Negev, the third largest hospital in Israel, has just reported its fourth doctor's suicide in just 18 months. Israeli psychologist Dr. Kamila Forkosh Lavan joins us with more. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, how big of a problem is this in Israel?
This is a big problem, not just in Israel, but also, of course, as we see already in Israel as well. And also, it's not like an Israeli problem. And this is a problem of hospitals and also jobs that are very high stress. So, for example, the last suicide was a person that's a stagiaire, like in practicum. Okay, so he's not yet very used to seeing the difficulties and the deaths and the different injuries. And also, from what I understand, he was also in a unit that was high stress unit. So think about it, like for many hours on end, they do not sleep, which is true for medical professionals in general, in certain professions, pretty much most. And here, because he's in an internship, that's true even more so. Plus, he doesn't have the psychological preparedness to see many of the difficult situations. It's very easy to go that way.
And there's also just a complete lack of doctors in the state of Israel as a whole. So even the people who are working have just such an enormous amount of work that they have to take on that I imagine that would affect them mentally.
Yes.
Now, what are the primary causes that you would say for depression and ultimately suicide among doctors? Does it come with a lack of proper emotional training, I guess, before going into the job?
I would say yes. Okay, so in general, the general kind of like the general layout is high stress, isolation. Maybe there's drug abuse. That's true for general public. Yes, so they're also part of the general public. So we don't know specifics what exactly happened. For example, also if there's suicide in the family, previous history of suicide in the family, that makes it more okay to go that way. Yes, or maybe a history of depression, anxiety, impulsivity. Yes. But as far as medical professionals go, I think that it's very important to increase awareness and to have a group or a few people or something on staff for every hospital to talk to your employees, to your doctors, to your nurses. See, for just employees in general, have a scan, have some kind of a system to not only scan, but also then help and give the support and prepare. And then after you prepare them, to keep talking to them, to keep making sure maintenance, to keep making sure that they're okay.
So that was actually my next question. You know, what programs or help is available for people who are feeling the stress, who are feeling depression in the medical field, and is it being taken advantage of, or is there maybe like a stigma around it?
So I'm very happy that you brought up this thing of stigma, because stigma exists in general for all of us, as you know, some cultures more than others. And it's very unfortunate because we're here, the profession is here, there are social workers, there are psychologists, there are a lot of tons of trained people, and unfortunately, many do not feel comfortable to go and ask. You'll go to a plumber, but you won't go to, or a hairdresser, but you won't go to a psychologist, yes? And so there are options for medical professionals within usually their places of work, but maybe it's not enough or maybe not appropriate, and it could be looked at, but also in the general life, they can go and reach out as well. But yes, the stigma does exist, and you're supposed to be strong, and you're supposed to handle it by yourself.
Well, it's not always that simple, and I know that for my friends who are doctors, I'm constantly asking them, how do you deal with this job on a daily basis? But thank you so much for joining us and shedding some light on this.
Thank you.